Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. And the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Well, it's Tuesday. Looks like the treasuries are higher. Oh man, we got, well, I don't know. Let's go look at the charts. We got some interesting stuff, but I think that Bitcoin is the most interesting thing going on right now. Okay, so here's the treasuries. Man, I should have held that position that we had yesterday. Oh, I feel so dumb because that was like $100. Well, I wasn't going to hold it overnight, but look, and we're higher even. So now one of the things was that through a lot of this, like the equity markets was crashing, but not through this. So I really think that there was like some big buyers in there for whatever reason. That was a really strong and clear, by the end of it, block order. I mean, when we were trading it, the order that we ran on was a leg of the block order, but there was like 3 or 4 more legs. Here's the ES. ES really ugly yesterday, but overnight kind of recovering. So coming oil has been kind of damaged, but I mean, I guess they're still within the range. I don't know. Natural gas coming off of its highs, so that's good. Coming into the spring. Gold and silver still languishing. Kappa maybe trying to dig itself. Maybe the starts of a recovery there. And then we got the dollar. Dollar's still sitting around 103.5, but Bitcoin just absolutely crushed yesterday, breaking through 30,000, and Luna, or what is it? The whole Luna Terra stablecoin scheme seems to be falling apart, and Binance has been blocking withdrawals. So the Bitcoin market has been pressured, falling apart here. Now, I think that we have a pretty good setup today for maybe equities to go long. The treasuries seem to be looking strong here. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, they're below 3% now. And it actually looks like the curve may be continuing to steepen out too. Look at that. I don't think somebody just like sold through all that. Well, I think that I should still try to be, try to catch a good side of the thing, but I might, of the swings, but we might try and take this long. We'll see. A little worried. We're not completely following the Japanese yen, so a little hard. Also, we've got, let's see here, Federal Reserve's bargain in about 45 minutes. Man, look at that. Is that because of the 30-year? Yes, it is. Ooh, the 30 is going. It's going. You can see the micros here already active. That kind of makes me suspicious, though, about some, what do we say, choppiness. Yeah, they are moving away from that 28. There was some volume there, 28. China's President Xi is talking. Somebody wants that bid there at 2.985. See that? Those 2 orders, they aren't pulling. I think I'm too afraid to hit into them at this time. I'm going to let them pull back. Well, let's see what we got going on Twitter. Yeah, since the early 1980s, interest rates and inflation have trended lower. They are now trending higher a bit from record low levels. As we transition from QE to QT, this cycle is likely to experience higher yields, both nominal and real. The post-financial crisis was driven by a negative demand shock as the private sector delevered. This one is driven by a negative supply shock from the pandemic and the war in Ukraine. This cycle is likely to be more inflationary. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Up in there. Okay, so overnight Terra fell as low as 0.65 to 1. So, well, they're not really giving us much of a pullback at all, are they? It's that 30 just keeps chugging along is what it is. Let's reset that. I hope France will encourage the EU to have a better understanding of China, meet China halfway, and work out differences. I find, when they say stuff like that, I mean, I think he's really being truly genuine. Because I think the thing is that China is moving in a more communist direction, which we don't like in the West, obviously. But I don't think that China has any necessarily ill will towards the rest of the world. But they do want to be like in charge. That's kind of the problem. That's kind of the problem is they do want to be in charge. I don't know if they're going to stop until they touch 119 even. Well, if they hit, I should probably have some orders at 119 even, huh? I should take off. No, I don't want 5-1. I should probably take off 3. That'll really give me a lot more leeway. If it comes back, I can add on here. I don't want to add the original 5, but by the way, we got everything set up here, right? Yeah, we're good. We're good. Okay. Does look like the 5-year leading. Yeah, that's a pretty big spike in Delta here, though. Like, I'm really concerned that I think we will probably fill that guy at 119, but I'm a little concerned about this burning out here. We also, with yields below 3%, we also kind of have to wonder how low will they actually get? What's the actual appropriate rate right now? There's this conversation going on Twitter. I forget, but weren't dark pools created to get around the HFTs? Isn't that what I read in Flashboys? That basically, yes. There they go. Oh man, they're getting way more out of those ticks than I'm expecting. Like I'm looking at that at what was it? I think at one point we were 985. I could have taken. Right, only 2 more ticks up in the treasuries, and they're almost touching it. 975. So How much volume think is my voice is going. How much volume do we think is gonna come through here though? Well, okay, so a little bit pulled there. It's because the 30 is pushing. There has been some steepening overnight, but like the shorts seem to be coming out of the 30 really hard. And you do kind of have to wonder if that's not some short covering. Tobias, how's it going? Jeez. Jeez. Hmm. On this longer term trade here in the treasury, I feel like a dog that just caught the car like, how much higher could this go? Well, 119.09 half was the highs from after the FOMC. They're able to hold 119 even really well. Like, yeah, that could just be the base for another further move up to 119.04. Like, there's a 5 you taking some? Man. Yeah. I think that today is a buy in ES, but whenever I've been trying that over in ES, it doesn't work and I feel stupid. So I'm just not going to touch it. I don't feel like messing with that right now. The 10-year, well, I think it was really that last leg was the 5 really seemed to be the one that was pushing it through. It does look like that might have been a slight blow off. Whoa. That's a lot buying there, man. That's a level break setup right there at 01. I don't know if in this context, if it's an advisable trade or not. I'm kind of leaning towards it is. But I think that the opportunity to get filled on it is already passed. Like, look, they're all lined up. No, you have puts on Peloton. You must be happy today. I heard that it was like really bad. They were already talking about that on my morning news reading. Okay. So there was a big buyer there. I think that somebody just got filled, yeah. We've been seeing that a lot where they break through the iceberg, it comes down and get 2 or 3 ticks. Yeah, and the buy orders aren't quite acting the same now. So I think that that leg of the meta order is probably done. I don't know if it's worth reversing here at 2975 maybe. Probably not. I mean, that's very against the trend. Wow, you're a brave. BTON is, I guess, behaving. I don't know if it's braves. I mean, look, the Peloton was like what one of the biggest meme stocks, like the least deserving one. So if there was anything in this market environment worth shorting, it would be Peloton, right? So it's a good play. You don't know who the other one is though. Is MicroStar. Although I don't know if today is the day to go out and do that one. Probably your opportunity on that one has already passed. Somebody made some money on MicroStar puts though, I'm sure. Yep, right back up to the high. It didn't take very much volume to get them back up to the high though. Am I seeing a bid in the 6J? I am. Very much so I am. You can just look at ARC to see what's good for a short. Wait, did they have Peloton in ARC? I did not. What was their high conviction play that got slaughtered last week? Ah, man, that lady is just nuts. You know what's happening over there, right? Her success was largely due to one stock, and everything after that was just her pumping the space up with her own market impact. And now she's diluted. She's become the diluted one. Like she thinks that she's this genius visionary when the reality is that she was just being fooled by a Fed fueled market. And a lady like Kathy will have a really strong belief in themselves, so they're gonna stick with it to the very end. You know what I mean? Senate passes security bill for Supreme Court family members. Okay. There's another level break set up here at O2. Yep. And now 965. And I'm just sitting here like a chump. I read Bill Huang had something to do with her business with Woods. Well, I think that there was a lot of moves that were happening in the market that were really driven by Bill Huang. Although it appears to me that the biggest ones were just him, like Viacom CBS in particular. Right? When he had to unwind, Viacom CBS just got obliterated. Viacom. That was back when I was still trying to do the stock market Steve thing. Maybe I should bring that back and just do it on my main TikTok. I thought it was funny. There's 04. That was awfully fast. It wasn't even like 5 minutes for them to take that one. Look at this. There appears to be a few market makers in the micro 10-year stuck on the wrong way on this and puking out there. Someone must. Well, I mean, what happened was the prime brokers figured it out. I'm telling you, man. Goldman's got that SecDB stuff. It's crazy technology. Okay, it really allows them to see like their exposure to the markets and their clients' exposure to the markets really, really well. right? Like the system that I worked on was its own individual system, and it had to calculate everybody's position 10 times a second. 10 times a second, right? And then they've got SecDB. It's securities database basically. It's a non-tabular database. It's an object database. So you can go in and you can make an object called like the 10-year treasury. And then you can say, okay, this stock over here, they own X much of 10-year treasury, right? And then it has all of these algorithms to go in and say, okay, so if you change the value of the treasury, then how does it affect all of these companies and how does it affect this currency? And you can even have circular relationships. So then you can see how that comes in to calculate the treasury. And I don't know how they sort that out, but that was like some algorithmic fancy schmancy stuff that was well beyond me. And every night, basically, they go through and they run this program that runs off of SecDB that calculates all of their positions, right? I'm sure most of the other banks have this similar stuff now too, but they were the first. Man, this has been a $50 move and they have not looked back. They have not looked back at all. Like I've been sitting here waiting for a pullback. It hasn't been giving it to me at all. Anyways, so they're very aware of the risks. And I'm sure that by now most banks are kind of caught up to them to some extent. So no, I don't want to fade this. I want to go along with it, but I want to pull back. I'm kind of sitting here thinking maybe I'm just not taking a trade today, man, because I can't go with that. Like that's an insane move. I don't think I've ever seen something go so far and not pull back even in like a single tick. Like after what? That's 12 ticks right there. And where did we start? I mean, it hasn't stopped since it started. So we're like a good 24 ticks now. Up hardly, maybe like 2 ticks back. How does that happen? Somebody must be getting margin called or something because that's just wild movement. There's like no news or anything. Remember, there's a Fed speaker in 20 minutes. Yeah. Oh, look, as soon as I say that, Captain Price said it. Yeah. But in 20 minutes, we got a Fed's with the next one. And they're pushing here. Maybe somebody's stopping out there. Kind of seems to me like, because that was just pretty indiscriminate loading. Well, there you go. There's a 4 tick pullback for you. That's the most significant pullback we've had this whole time. And it does actually give us a pivot. So is that all they're going to give and then they're going to go back up? Okay, well, a little bit of fishy liquidity there at 050. It initially looking strong and then kind of pulling and now pulling at 04.5. So we may start to form a liquidity hole somewhere in this range between 04 and 06. We could also, if we're going to pull back, I wouldn't be surprised to see a pullback to 119.01 since there was 15,000 contracts traded there. And that was kind of where they traded before breaking out, right? What's your view on the SPX in 2 to 3 months? I don't think that I can make a call that far out. I think that you got 2 scenarios, right? One scenario is that the markets realize that everything is fine and they chill out, and this whole thing ends up being a pullback, right? 15 to 20% decline is a pullback, right? Or we continue to have volatility through the summer, and if like if we really think that like shit's gonna hit the fan, like world famine, that sort of stuff, like really really bad, full on recession, then probably we'll continue to have some volatility, and then you get into like October, and October will just be like a bloody month. So Wordle swaps out Word due to Supreme Court leak. That app, I haven't played that Wordle. Have any of you played that? I'm just surprised how popular that got. Like that a word game became so popular, but maybe it became so popular because all of the literary, the English majors and the media liked it. I heard if ARK falls by 90%, the SEC will be after her because of I don't know about that. I haven't heard that. I don't know if she did anything wrong or illegal. I think that she just is just not a very good asset manager. That was odd. I don't think that you go along with that one though. They were coming down there 03, then it looked like maybe they were even going to hit into 02 half, and then somebody decided to buy and it spiked back up, and now there's actually some liquidity at 04, but that was a little bit of an impulsive move. But when you get something like that against the grain, because we were trending down, you get something like that against the grain, you don't necessarily want to go with it. Catherine Ross says, I was not prepared for the shenanigans that comes with owning 2 dogs. Really? Tech bubble too. So let me tell you something. I've been thinking about this all morning because I saw this. I think she was some sort of an investment advisor on TikTok. She was talking about like the 2008 crisis and how crazy scared some people were at that time and stuff. And like that's when I started looking at investing. And it's like the Bain thing. It's like you merely adopted the bear market. Why, I hadn't seen a green wink until I was nearly a man. But that was a real bear market. I don't think that this is that. I don't think that this is that. But what I do see is you say it's a tech bubble. What I see is an index bubble. What I see is that I think that Amazon is in pretty good spot. Not as good as it was. Apple, I've got some questions about. I'm not convinced that Apple is really worth what the market has been giving it. I think that Apple stock price is higher than its actual intrinsic value simply because it's in the index, It's like the largest index component, right? So I think that you're seeing something like that. I think that we're starting to see some of the negative consequences of index investing. And I hypothesize that we will find alternative ways of investing that will start to move people away from the index funds. Some sort of, so like one strategy that's been a successful strategy in the past, although I don't know if it will be the case this year, but dogs of the Dow, right? Find the Dow components that performed the worst last year and buy those, right? That tends to be a pretty good trade. a lot during the pandemic, they picked up on finding the ones with the highest short interest. That was a great thing until everybody picked up on it, right? I think that you might find these situations where people find that um there is an imbalance with everybody getting in on the indexes and finding ways to hedge themselves against the indexes, right? Because I think that some of the selling that we see in here in this market is just a little excessive, especially when you look at the S&P 500 futures. Like the liquidity in that is just terrible. It's just terrible. I mean, gosh, they're only putting like 20, 30 contracts out at a time over there right now. Let's see here. David Tepper tells Jim Cramer, I covered my dad's NASDAQ short. I think NASDAQ 12,000 holds. So here's another thought. Well, I'm thinking about it. Because part of the problem here is that the S&P 500 is like so high, right? So it used to be when I first started trading, there would be like 500 to 1,000 contracts aside in the S&P 500 futures, right? And as the S&P 500 has gone up, that's just kind of become less and less, right? At what point do they do a split? I mean, the micro futures in some respects is kind of like a stock split, right? So they're basically saying the value of the index has become so high that the daily range on a tick by tick basis is too much, so we have to make another instrument with lower margins, right? But wouldn't it be better to be back to the, do a 4-for-1 split, have the S&P be at 1,000 and have, like 4 times the liquidity at a price again? Do you think that's why people flip the options? No. The reason people flip to options is because options give you more flexibility. So the way that I would describe this is from a data science perspective, right? When you're trading a future, basically when you take a position, you're basically given a function that determines what your profit and loss is. And when you're doing futures, you can only pick when it goes up, I make money, and when it goes down, I lose money, or vice versa, right? You can only choose a linear function, essentially. But when you do options, you can change that function, right? You can make it so that you make money whether it goes up or down, but as long as it goes far enough, or you can make money regardless of whether it goes up or down as long as it stays within a specified range, for instance, right? And if you are a market maker, then that gives you a lot more flexibility because now you don't have to be so much directional, right? So options has kind of always been a significant part of market making, really, because of that. Like I bet you that if we had the opportunity to talk to Mr. Nassim Taleb and we said, okay, Taleb, we trade futures. So, like, what would be something that you think would help us in trading futures? Like, can you tell us what would be like the optimal stop and target in the futures? And I bet you he would say, well, you just shouldn't trade futures. You should trade options. That's probably what he would say, because in options you can change the reward function. You got short there, huh? Well, I'm surprised that they weren't able to get very far below 04, but this action that we've seen here so far has been kind of random. It looks like 04 is kind of like turning into the volume node, kind of the area where they maybe have some gravity. But certainly if we break through here, there's a possibility that we break back to 01, right? I've caught myself trying to fade the trend too many times here lately, though. So I don't know if that's one that I want to go for. I'm thinking wait until, like, I would rather see us come back to like 01 and then maybe try and take a long is what I'm thinking for me. Yeah, S&P 500 is taking off. So I would have, when I was saying, hey, I think it's a long in ES today, that was 40.25. This could be weird. No, I don't think there is any news, but was there any news for the short? And what was with the short yesterday? You know what really surprised me was that yesterday was like a top 5 greatest ever sell days for retail traders, which I'm kind of surprised. I was like, why sell? You're already screwed, right? But that could be a contrarian indicator, you know. Hmm. 025 is coming back. I don't know. What would I, if I had taken the same trade as you, would I have been 295? I guess that would have been $10. I could have tried to take $10, but let's see here. Reporting from the Financial Times, New York Fed chief confident central bank can deliver a soft landing. Anyways, so I'm kind of looking at maybe a market that really just really went overboard based purely on sentiment and has some serious short covering to do. And I think that some big buyers in the treasuries definitely triggered some of that today, and this action that we saw here this morning, that looks like short covering to me, because that was very impulsive. Like they were just buying it indiscriminately. It wasn't the same kind of block order, you know. It was much more frantic. And when it seems to be done, like it comes back way more quickly, right? Yeah, you got out 025. Good job. Oh, you only took 3 ticks on that? I was usually doing 4 ticks on the actually, I've just been taking them when I'm taking them, huh? I think that 01 though should be a downside target. You think that they'll get down there? Forex Live re-quoting the Saudi energy, or no, it was the UAE energy minister saying the world is running out of energy capacity. It does seem to be the case. Yeah, I got close to 01 and you got nervous. Oh, okay. It was a good pick, though. First they say inflation is transitory, now they say we'll have a soft landing. Well, they always said they were saying both things at the same time, right? So I am the Treasury seems to be moderating more. The Japanese yen is maybe reversing. A question regarding the order flow you have. What about it? Oh, which reminds me, I should probably. Well, it's probably too late now, but I should be collecting the data I've been forgetting. When you say filter by 500, is that still a gross order on the flow? So, you know, kind of depends on which indicator you're talking about, but on the level 2 indicators, the way that it works is it's basically saying, you know, when I get a level 2 change, what was it before and what is it now? and it only counts it in the indicator if that degree of change was larger than your filter size, right? So if you wanted to come in and see only orders placed by really big, like spoofs, for instance, right? Then you could come in and you could, on the 10-year, you could set those filters to be 1,000, and then you would only see the big moves in the spoof orders, essentially. That's what that was all about. Just ways of filtering things out, because there's a lot of noise, right? So most of those indicators are designed to find ways that you can potentially filter out noise for an algorithm. Well, they're not taking O2 half, and there's a relatively strong bid there. Curious. But the 30-year is diving back down, so... Oops, why did I take the lid off? I only want to open the thing and take a drink. You just sent a picture on Discord. I don't know what you're even looking at or talking about. No, level 3 data is not relevant to what we're doing. Level 3 has more to do with cumulative data across exchanges. Seems like what you are, if those I forget what you have there. Oh yeah, those little circles, the order flow delta. So those circles there, those are identifying large icebergs that happen. So in this particular case, right, there was a very large iceberg at the high, and then they put an iceberg on the bid, and then they did the level break and smashed it up. Okay, they took O2 half. There was a little bit of a strong bid there for a while, but it looks like they acquiesced. Their O2 goes without much of a struggle. Comes back up and now more volume. I was thinking right there, 297, but doesn't look like that's gonna touch for a bit. Oil taking a hit here. Yeah. Well, I think that those numbers that you're looking at there, D, are the order flow large order detectors, right? Those aren't my indicators that you're looking at there. There was lots of large icebergs in here. I think I would be I would start to be a little bit careful about reading too much into large orders now at this point, because I think that you're probably going to see them on both sides all over the place. Hmm. Yeah, large order flow detector. Yeah. So when I think about like the large orders, I'm much more contextual about it, right? I'm wondering if it is an aggregate still. I believe it is. I believe that in those cases, it's not talking about one market order that hit all at once, but rather those are trying to detect icebergs. So situations where they're buying into a price and the offer doesn't change. And it takes a large amount of orders in order to push through the price. If you have it set to 1,000 though, if it will show them as large as 1,000, you're going to get a lot of points on your chart there. Now we could go and read the order flow delta documentation to double check, but I'm pretty sure that those are looking more for icebergs. Well, I definitely identified the point at which it was like a blow off top and stopped. I guess that would have been worth a little bit of a trade, but okay. The 10-year is lagging a little bit. Feeling a little bit racy, like hard to breathe, and like I'm catching my breath. Hmm. You buy that, but there's an indicator built in that draws those circles. I don't know how they're calculating it. I only know that there was icebergs in that location when we were watching. Okay, like here they're gonna touch L1. This is Barkin speaking. Rising borrowing rates will dampen investment levels and spending on interest sensitive items such as houses and cars. Number of pandemic era inflation pressures will eventually settle. Demand is strong and looks to remain robust, driven by health, business, and personal balance sheet. So they only briefly touched on the spread. Interesting. The spread here is actually increasing. I don't know about that. I'm suddenly not so sure about if they go and break another new high today. Barkin notes that Fed Powell's comments of 50 basis point hikes could be on the table for coming meetings. Well, we were right about it coming back to touch 01. They might give us an opportunity. They might come back up to 04 at some point, but I'm not sure. The market seems a little suspect here, to be honest with you. They just like plowed right through that VWAP, at least in the 10-year. Now they're coming to the VWAP in the 30. Three-tick spread right now. Feel like I'm having a hard time focusing. Maybe I'm more sleepy than I thought. You know what? That stupid dog. He was whining up in the bedroom. So I finally took him downstairs, put him in his cage downstairs, and he barked at me like once or twice. But I think that he actually was more comfortable sleeping downstairs. Or maybe we're just gonna have him sleep downstairs from now on. Because when I came down, he came and he looked at, but he didn't whine at me or anything. I gave him a little treat, and then he went back to sleep. Hmm. So I'm just thinking about like what I was thinking when we first touched 119 earlier, right? I was like, okay, 119, we got a pretty good uptrend. We'll see if they can extend above this, but that looks to be like their first target. And then it trended all the way up here without ever stopping, right? And now through 31 half and 31. So now it's looking like they're going to retrace like the whole thing, maybe. Well, we could say that the initial breakout was at 28. So there's still a good 8 ticks in here if they're going to retrace the whole thing. Doesn't look like with the way that things kind of positioned that they're going to give us 975 to just hit into. Fed's barking. When we get to neutral, we can decide whether to put the brakes on the economy depending on inflation by then. Okay. Well, it kind of looks like maybe they are bouncing here. What? Hmm. wondering if maybe I'm just being too picky, but the spread here is making things difficult. Hmm. Yeah, the spreads here are making things very difficult. And look, I actually caught an offer there, but it's already 5 ticks against me. "50 basis point interest rate increases at the next 2 meetings makes sense as a base case." You would that is potentially market moving talk, but I don't know if the market's actually reacting to that. Right now I only live trade the micros, yeah. This trade up here in the 10-year is a sim account. Hmm. Well, do not like the way that that went at all. A big offer there at 31. That's a little curious that that's showing up. Looks like it might be muttering a little bit. Yeah. And then they took it. Bitcoin got crushed recently and I'm working for a crypto company. They postponed the go live of our crypto fund, but they will keep funding us. Really? What? That's crazy, dude. Dude, that the exchanges are canceling withdrawals. That's like such bullshit, right? Really quite unbelievable to me that they're literally not letting you withdraw your money, and we aren't seeing everybody just absolutely in arms about it. Are we expecting a crash today? No, I think today is looking pretty good so far, Lucas. Like the S&P 500 has been rallying pretty strongly here. We're not even open yet. Treasuries have been rallying, had a really crazy rally on the opening drive, man. That was really a trend. That trend was really something else. Okay, well, what I seem to be getting right now is more signs of just like things balancing out, but they could be ready for another leg of move around the time that the S&P 500 opens. So, okay, large iceberg at 119, but that's probably not too significant because it's such a round number. Bets increase on euro slide to parity with dollar. Options show the odds of parity in the next year are a coin cost funds bet more than 4 billion in notional value on parity. Really? Hence why the dollar has been looking so strong. Yeah, I mean, I haven't talked too much on the DPEG, but we did mention that it went to like 0.65 at one point, right? Man, oh, so like I think the best comment that I saw on this was in the Buttcoin subreddit, and they said, "See, the real innovation in cryptocurrencies is that they made a Ponzi scheme that has an off button on it. so that when people try and run on the Ponzi scheme, they can just stop the run. Like that, and I see that and I'm like, yeah, because they did that with Tether before too, didn't they? And it just blows my mind that there's not this army of people online. I mean, when that happened with GameStop, everybody was pissed, right? I can't believe that all the crypto bros are like not out up in arms about it. But then you realize, well, unless you realize that it's a Ponzi scheme and you know that them stopping it kind of prevents the thing from collapsing. You had to forecast crypto 5 years out. Where would you see it? Well, I think at the current time that cryptocurrencies will probably see an 80% drawdown. I think that that's probably coming. And I think that regulation will really harm the cryptocurrency community. Bitcoin itself may yet be able to reach new highs. But the winter that the cryptocurrency world is probably about to see is going to be pretty deep. Let's say. Well, guys, while I am seeing signs of this whole area kind of being an area of consolidation, and we may see another large meta order come here sometime around the start of the S&P 500. This has been an awfully strong downtrend and does kind of suggest to me that the up move is over. And more to the point, I'm very upset about how I got filled on this trade and that I haven't gotten many favorable ticks on it. Well, there's the open. Looks like on the open they're deciding to buy for anywhere above 40.50. I'm game. Oh geez. No. And it seems like again, one tick in the treasury is worth like $7 over here in the micros. Look at that. What was that? What's all that? Trading is so complicated. Well, I think the reality is that most of it is random, right? And most people aren't sophisticated enough to see through the randomness. Dude, I don't know about this one, man. So the spread has really come in here. That's interesting to me. S&P 500 did good start, but that kind of start is the sort of thing that can go all day. Huh. Well, it's curious. It looks to me like the micro tens moved more off of the 30-year more than it did the 10-year doing something. Now, last one I was at 7.5, right? Yeah, 7.6. No, I don't want to say BS. I mean, they're coming up with stuff. They're just being fooled by randomness is what. Okay, maybe we are seeing the move that I was looking for now. I think that move in the treasury up was looks to be accompanied by some movement in the 6J. Hmm. I find it interesting that here in the micro 10 that most of the volume is one lots picking each other off. There's a good move. Man, that is a really surprising how quickly things kind of like just turned around and now all of a sudden it's like frantic bidding action again in the treasuries, huh? Oh, is this because the S&P turned bearish after that initial head fake? Ooh. Well, serves me right for trying to try and take E-mini trades on Sim again when I said like I clearly this is just makes me look stupid. I should stop doing it. Nah, UB and ZB has always been like too much a tick for me. When I first started, I traded UB or sorry ZB, and I really found that was like on combine accounts, but I found that it was much easier for me to read the 10-year when I was trying to look at order flow. You watching the order flow, you start watching the 10-year makes more sense. And trying to trade the 30-year off the 10 didn't really work either. So I think the reality is that the more liquidity there is, the more predictive signals you will tend to get. And there's some uh, empirical research that suggests this. Iceberg at 119,005. 30-year seems to be leading them up. I canceled my live data feed for the indexes. I felt like a kid in the candy store. Yeah. Well, I still want to try and figure out how to trade the E-mini better. I don't know. So I come in. Does TN? I think TN probably does, but I don't ever watch that one. I don't ever watch that one. Um, I just, I'll say, oh, I think that this is like the sentiment and everything in ES, but it doesn't seem like I actually have a good read over there. Like, well, that's curious. Like we got like this really impulsive up move in the Treasury. It may have been triggered by the S&P 500 turning around and heading down, but it's already moderating. I think I may be being impulsive here, basically I just really want something to run, and probably to get a good trade I'm going to have to be a lot more patient. Look at that. That's not what we want at all. Jeez. What a head fake. Okay, so Messer is saying that she's down with 250 basis point hikes. Maybe that's why we saw that move. Yeah, that one's live. So when the first one didn't work out and then I saw an opportunity to take it in, I decided to hit in with it with double, but it didn't come through. So I'm frustrated about that. It was good initially. That does look like they're bouncing back. I don't know. But what I'm more frustrated about is that it looks like that the market is just more slippery than I would like. Would have been nice to have just been in that trend and made a quick $20. Now it's kind of slipping back and forth on us, right? Okay, Fed's Mester thinks that we may need to go beyond neutral. But noting that that's like a decision until the second half of the year. She thinks neutral is 2.5%, huh? Hmm. Is the S&P 500 going to turn back down? They're battling it out there in ES. I don't know what's going to happen there. Hmm. What do you mean it's okay? Why it didn't work? Question mark. What? Okay. Okay, having a little bit of trouble at 31.5. Hmm. Oh, why did the trade not work? Well, I think the problem that I'm having here right now is that the market is becoming a little bit slippery. So I'm really looking for something to be like just a really strong, clear trend. And I'm not getting that. And when I took this trade originally, I thought that I was getting at 31, but the spread is kind of working against me as well. So I think that's kind of where my problems lie. We'll see. They may, as of yet, get above that O2, which was the last swing high. And maybe this thing will skyrocket back up to O4. We'll see. But what I'm getting at is that I have to be way more patient than I want to be right now. There's some volume trading here in this area. That's curious. Does look like it. Well, the spread has kind of come in now. Now it's only a one tick spread. So that suggests that the market makers see this market as being much less trendy now. No, okay, so I am seeing a little bit of flight to safety bid. Like they're coming up when the S&P 500 kind of starts turning down. Man, are they going to head for that 4,000 level again in ES? That's looking kind of... Ouch. Spoos are not happy, guys. Oh, and that was a higher high. That was a higher high. Higher low, higher high. Good on a price action perspective. Not that that's worth much, but the volume seems a little... It's kind of like spurts and stops, you know? It's not like a strong meta order buy like what we would prefer to see, right? And when it does move, it happens quite quickly. It's several ticks at a time, right? You'll see, I don't like that. No, I'm talking about in the treasury. Like the cumulative delta since that peak at 6:51 my time has been largely down, but it's been very slow down. And yet we're getting these large swings back and forth. So what's happening is the market makers are kind of just uh, jostling us around. And we're not actually getting a strong meta order. Man, and see when it comes down so much more strongly. Like we had a good up move there and we didn't get hardly anything from it. I mean, right now at this moment, we're still like within the range of the uptrend, but like that shows how wide of a range it is. It's getting a lot wider than what it was, which is frustrating. And that's not good. Hate algos. Well, it's not necessarily algs. I mean, a normal market maker would be doing the same thing, right? Hmm. A little bit of difficulty there at 31, but it looks like they were able to get it. But this 5 years not coming along. Okay. Okay, that was a really strong uptick. Two more following it. So it looks like again we're heading over to the other side of the range. Previous high end of the range being at 02, there is a little bit more liquidity above us though. We'll see if they tick up there at 01, if any of this pulls. There was an iceberg there. Okay. So that's a change now that somebody's actually taking volume on the bid. S&P 500 still puking. What about the spreads? I'm seeing steepening again. It looks like the 5 year is starting to lead. Darn. Maybe that's all there was to that buy. I don't know, guys. Hmm. See, I'm trying to make a read in here, but the truth is this is starting to turn into a sideways range. I'm not sure I'm getting much support for my trade thesis here. It's still possible that we get another leg up, but that initial move up, that was kind of like, that really looked like it, but it fizzled out so quickly. Okay, and there's S&P 500 making a more significant pullback. Hmm. Seems like it's really easy for them to fall at that 31 spot. What the heck? Yeah, see that spoof there at 30 half? Iceberg. Oh, the offer was real. He got called on it. Oh, oof, oof. Well, I think that settles that. I don't know if I can just turn around and buy this per se, but okay. I'm starting to feel like that the book is reacting to me again. Yeah, so what happened there was there was a buyer kind of stepping up there and he got had. Well, the correlation kind of helps, but I don't think that the correlation is the most dominant factor at the moment. I don't know. I'm not so sure though that I've got to trade anymore, you know? Like I think that the first one that I took was a little bit early. The second one that I took, I probably didn't get the best price. And now, so I probably panicked a little bit there because it was at like what 992 and it's already come back. It's already come back $10. So, but can you see here, like it's coming back to that spot? Like it looks like again, still that the market maker is largely messing around with them. With us, market maker got me. Is what it is. Like when I start to feel like that it's reacting to me, that's a strong indication that there's maybe not actually a reason to be trading. Well, it's a relatively slow market. It's moving a lot today though, right? I mean, we're in a very volatile market regime. I feel so dumb right now, guys. I that was more pain than I could take, and if I had just waited another minute, could have scratched it. Could have scratched it. It does feel a little weak here, like do you see how when I put a limit order out, it's like it moves up 3 ticks? Well, there was nothing wrong with it. It's just random, right? In other words, um, the scenario that we were looking for did not play out. It's random. Okay. That appears to be a reaction from the ECB speaker. Okay, that's interesting. I just can't catch a break here, folks. There appears to have been some movement there on ECB's and Nagel, and the comment that I was just hearing in there, ECB's Nagel, higher inflation is likely to prevail. Price growth expectations could become less anchored. So that is definitely why they sold it there. Okay. That fill was a little bit better. There is disturbing indications that inflation is gathering momentum. That's what he said. That's the first time I've heard central bankers say something like that. So this may flip around the other side now. So something I'm noticing in the market overall is that the Central Bank of the UK was much more forthwith about, like, we see inflation maybe getting worse and we may have to slow things down to fight it, right? So I'm getting this thing from some participants. Wow, somebody just hit them all. I'm getting this thing from some participants that, like, the UK is more reliable central bank. So then here today they come out and they say, well, we see some signs that it's accelerating. See? Market reacts to that one. a little bit more strongly than the other moves, I think. Not sure if it's enough to create a trend, but it did push them down to the low end of the range. And I don't think that it would take much to push them over the edge. I would think that most of the people that bought through this big trend would be out by now, but who knows? Hmm. And what about the S&P 500? S&P 500 still battling 40-50, huh? Okay, so that time the 30-year ticked down first and they all went with it, and then it ticked down a second tick. The 10-year seems to want to stay at 30. Like, nope, we have to squeeze Seth first, then we can go down. Fuck. Sorry, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Some battle. There's some battle here now. Look at this. Dude, this is getting really effing frustrating. I have not on any of these gotten more than 5 ticks favorable excursion, and I've gone both ways. And the unfavorable excursion is excessive. What's going on? That seems a little bit more than random. Damn it. I thought I had something good there. I can't explain that one, man. It is sloppy chop, but are my picks just that bad? Like, if I want to go for it long, do I need to be doing it right here because of the range? I don't know. I am kind of seeing where it's like, well, I think that something's going to happen and it just stays in the range, and that's why I think that it's working against me. But I'm catching the wrong end of the swings for some reason when I think that I'm not. But you're right. It's this whole range between 119 and 30. Hmm. Well, I think that they again. I shouldn't have taken that last trade. I should have just let go and said, okay, yeah, there's definitely not a thing. Yeah, I guess you could call it a liquidity hole, but it's a really wide one, right? No, the second leg scenario I think is done. I was going off there. I was trying to trade off of that news headline, thinking that could maybe push interest rates up, but apparently that one wasn't worth much. So now I need to go back to I don't really have a reason to trade at the moment. So I'm hyper frustrated because, I've missed a lot of opportunities and then I got involved in chop. I don't understand what my deal is. I guess I could just chalk it up to bad luck, but that's frustrating. Kathy Woods, queen of retail investors. No, I don't think so. Well, if I wanted to just trade the range, right here at 980 is probably an okay spot, right? Maybe you get as lucky as 975. Who knows? Maybe I take the trade. This is the time that it breaks up to the upside, right? S&P 500 just getting hit there. Hmm. Volatility of market is very uncomfortable, but it's necessary to get inflation down. Trader says he's adding bonds to his trade so he could lose his money slower. Yeah. Well, I think with the way that we trade, I'm not necessarily going to tell you that it's going to work and make money for you, but you at least lose it slower than other people. That's certainly true. Now they're touching 0.005. I don't know. I am kind of detecting a hint of a change in the order flow here now, guys. Actually, it looks like that the order flow may be resolving to the upside in the 10-year, but it's not abundantly clear. But it's kind of the point where if we were going to trade just off of the order flow, now would be the point to do it. But given the way that this range has been going and everything else, I'm not so sure that trade really makes much sense. I'm surprised that it's only 811 right now. It's only 811. It feels like it's been a lot longer than that, but I guess I've been really absorbed in the order flow today. Next trade, just do the opposite of what you want to do. The opposite of what I want to do is not take a trade, so. I don't know. I'm just trying to be cognizant of the range here. Like if I wanted to sell the treasury here, here's the place to do it. This is the upper end of the range. It's still going though. Like I said, 80 was maybe okay. No. 75 maybe? No. I mean, trying to pick it exactly is going to be super hard here, but it's still kind of slowly pushing up. Okay, Secretary Yellen is talking now. Said something about stablecoins, but I don't know what it was. See, so now what's happening is now that we're down here at the bottom of this range, I'm like, oh yeah. Actually, I think that we want to go along. I think that we want to go along. It's the wrong side of the range to do it, isn't it? Putin likely to impose martial law in Russia to support war effort, U.S. intelligence chief says. Yellen repeats emphasis on passing stablecoin legislation. Yes, please. See, now it's just going to go, and it's just going to go and go and go. What do you think? We think we're going to get another false breakout here, or do we think that the volume really has changed? There really has been a significant change in the volume over the last 15 minutes. Okay, I just want to point that out. There has been a significant change in the volume over the last 15 minutes. Quite a good correlated flow going long in all three instruments too. Now, spreads are all over the place. So spreads probably a big part of this choppy range that we've had. Some stop outs there, but it didn't hold. I'm kind of over it. Like, well, I must not be over it because I took another one, but I kind of look at all of that as like, yeah, I wanted to take a trade. I shouldn't have. I'm not sure what to do to prevent myself from getting in that situation, but I think that it just kind of happens. Probably shouldn't stress about it too much. I think the thing that I should be more mad about is missing the strong uptrend this morning, the beginning, because that was a really good move. You think ES looks more like upside potential? I don't know. I mean, they've made pretty strong moves in both directions here. It's like a 50-point range today. Unclear which side is actually going to win. So there's 2 ticks and we hardly got anything for it. Hmm. Hmm. That one's interesting. I'm maybe not the only one burnt out on this trade today. Because I thought that they would have been way more interested in doing something there, and they didn't. Well, I'll try it again. If I make theirs to be 0 spread, okay, then that time they hit me. You don't like this up move? It's looking like an awfully consistent uptrend bubble up, isn't it? Another block order in here? I don't know. That was a more excessive fall, but there's a pretty decent bid there. Actually, I think that the bid went and hit into them there because it disappeared when they ticked up. Too much volatility? I don't know. It is like a 4 tick or so volatility range, isn't it? It's a very clear uptrend though. And for almost 20 minutes now. Hmm. Live action says good day. Have a good one. Just got 40 minutes here. Okay. It's interesting. That was, after the downtick, a little bit of aggressive defense of 01. Guess we should remember that 01 had some significant volume at it from earlier, right? I don't know if that means anything, but maybe there's some defense being played there because of that 4K iceberg at 01, huh? And with that downtick, maybe that breaks the uptrend. That might have just broken the uptrend. We'll see. For the uptrend trend to continue, I think that they would want to recover all one at the very least. And the bids here on the 5 and the 30 aren't too helpful. Okay. Well, that was interesting. So there was low resting liquidity there. Huh. Okay, there was low resting liquidity there on both the uptick and the downtick, and then all of a sudden there was really strong liquidity on both an uptick and a downtick, and then a bunch of volume went through on both sides at 1300. So they are battling over that price. Or maybe we could consider it two big guys meeting and making an agreement to do a trade. Doesn't look too good for the uptrend, but it's not like a break. It's kind of like on the chart right now, it's looking like support at 005. I know it doesn't really look like that on the DOM, but the 30-year ticked up there. That might help. I'm getting a lot of flakiness though, like weak bids, and then it flips around and this is the weak bid, but then this doesn't pick up, and that, or you would think that that would tick up right there at 30 half in the 5-year, but it's not. There's an iceberg in the way. Still no. S&P 500 still just kind of chopping around. That's not encouraging. Yeah, I'm still kind of leaning to uptrend, but I think that the case is getting a little bit weaker. Or let's not say the case is getting weaker. I think that there's a good case for that was all the uptrend that there was going to be, and that we're back into chopping. You can see they did go bid at 30 half, but it's not holding. A very weak bid when it goes. Okay, that's a little bit better, but that happened because the 30-year ticked up. Okay, that's better. Are we going to get another one of these things where when it does go, it's just like really, really quick? Yeah. Eh. Okay, that's better. So this liquidity at 02 could just be stuff left over from that previous move up, right? So in order for there to be a continuation of a trend, we're going to have to get a decent, oh geez, okay. We're going to have to get a decent amount of volume. Apparently there's a decent amount of volume sitting out there, but they're hitting both ways. Okay. 5-year maybe leading again. You see some steepening. I could see the case in the spread for some steepening to come in here more strongly. We've been sitting here at this range here between 0.5 and O2 now for 3-4 minutes. And there's a downtick. Hmm. Well, this is interesting because they built a lot of volume down in through here. Like the point of control was at 119 and on 01, but there's some volume trading there at 01 half and 02. Okay, so there's another uptick. That one's felt kind of random, but the 5-year went 2 ticks there. Is the 10-year going to break out and show a continuation of the trend here? That's a breakout of that range, but the previous swing high was 02 half, so we need to take 02 half too. Well, they're already eating into it. I don't know. It looks like, even though we're coming on the upside and everything, so this is still, I think, in line with the kind of bubble uptrend that we've had. Although we really have to think about this volume that we had down here. I don't know. But there's, like we're still within consistent of a bubble up move, but there's been some big volume trades throughout this range, so I'm not quite sure what to make of that. You know, to get to where they were, to get to O2 half, some real volume had to come through. Now if there's more left in the buys and they can start touching into O3, then you might get some opportunity to see the highs again. But we'll see. I mean, it looks like there's some real resistance there to it. Yeah. And then there's the downtick back at 01 again. Falling back into the hole. Why do I keep hearing on my news squawks and Twitter and everything this headline like the US doesn't see Russia using tactical nukes at this time? They seem to be hitting that story over and over again. I don't get it. Did you take the John Grady course? I took like the basic course. I never did like the webinar. The basic course is great. It's like $90. It's an awesome book. I highly recommend it. Oh wow, that was, I don't know about all of that. That's kind of interesting action. That decline that we just had, that felt like somebody gave up. That is not consistent with the bubble up trend that we've been seeing, is it? Oh, this is a good uptick at 01. At least in the 10-year, they were willing to bid liquidity. The 30-year didn't tick back up, though. I'm going to zoom in on the 30-year here a little bit more so I can try and get an idea. The buyers take a hit there at 01, but they did take it. Not going to take that one back up, huh? The offer looks weak. Okay, they take it. It's just robots, though. Not a strong bid. So now we're starting to get very, very weak resting liquidity 01. Okay. Looks like they're going to test the upside again. Here's a thought. They gave that back up so quickly. If we get back up to 0.25, that's going to give you a lot of fuel to be able to bust through that iceberg at 0.2.5 now. But whether that actually happens remains to be seen. It's still being kind of flaky at 0.1/2 even. Okay. That 5-year 31 pulling and it ticks up. Okay. Need that 30-year to come along. Okay. S&P 500 testing lows. Ouch. There's new lows. Are we seeing some flight to safety bid in the treasuries again? Look at this. I guess there's your answer to that one. I'm wondering, the thing I'm watching in the S&P 500 is if they make a run for 4,000 again. Okay. Yellen still says that stablecoins present a risk to financial stability. Zero half taken. The 5-year fallen there more than the others. And you're buying it back. Didn't look convincing. Well, how convincing do you think is that they'll touch 4,000 again? There is so much options interest at. So 4,000 was like the last line in the sand for like calls. That was a strong uptick. Curious that the 5-year didn't uptick there off of that. That's not good. That's really weird. The 30-year isn't really responding though. The 5-year is getting pummeled, but the 30 is not. 30 is just holding pat. What's with that? I don't like that at all. Is that a spread going on? Is somebody putting on a flattener? Kind of. I think that's so. Okay. Well, I'll be interested to see if the 5-year gets back up to that 30 and a quarter. Wow. I tell you what, when we kind of got into this range and it would like juju, slow bubble up juju. Second time I was like, what? Now it's done it like 4 or 5 times. I've never really seen that in the Treasury before. This is just a really odd setup. I think that it may be because somebody's putting a flattener on, which is kind of a contradiction of the spreading action of the past few days. So some of my reads might have been screwed up a little bit by the spreading, but it does look so the 5-year hasn't recovered 30 and a quarter yet. Looks like there might. Oh, come on. No. No. He stacked warm. And then he sold it. There you go. Okay. 30 and a quarter goes bid. 30 half goes bid. I don't think I've ever seen such messy price action in the Treasuries before. That was really quite all over the place. And then we still have 0.2 half on the upside to battle with in the 10-year. Okay. Well, they took that one, no problem. Think we can see highs now? Yeah, it does look like it's still in a pretty nice uptrend. Well, what I'm starting to see is there was a nice uptrend, and then they waited 30 minutes, and now we're starting to get a slight continuation of it. But it battled a lot throughout all of that, right? Battled a lot throughout all of that. So, and it is kind of turning into a difficult trade because there is a large degree of spreading. The spreading in this instance is much more in our favor with the ZB going up faster than the 5-year. But it's still tough action, right? Like, look, the 10-year still at 01. Like, 01 has been the price that they've been battling over the most this whole time, right? By that time, the 5-year went up so much that, or the 30-year went up so much that it's got our yield in the 10-year in a little bit better of a spot. Oh man, the 5-year really came down though. Fed semester is going to be on Bloomberg in like 5 minutes, I guess, when she was speaking on Yahoo Finance. I don't think I've ever seen any action quite like this. Like, it's like push and pull, and the 5 years pushing down and the 30 years pushing up, and that's why we're getting these really slippery moves back and forth across the ranges. Because when you look at it in the 10-year, it's like really messy, but when you look at it in the 30-year, they didn't really move back all that much. There's 01 again. I should reset it there, yeah. Actually, right there. No. Okay. S&P 500. Looks like we're going to get that test of 4,000 before we're done here today. Mm-hmm. Oh, they kind of went for it. It didn't touch it yet. Still too tepid. Okay, there's a large order down there at 4,000. Okay, and there's the break. Not too spectacular, but not bad. Okay, and the 30-year ticking up again. Oh, wow. The federal deficit is expected to decline by $1.5 trillion this year? Is what I just heard over the new squawk. That's amazing. That means less need to sell bonds. They're not reacting to it, but in the long run, I think that's actually something that's good for bonds. I guess the interest rates won the. I don't know if they won the battle. I don't know if anyone's actually winning here. that that move down in ES though doesn't look so good, does it? Yeah. That. So well, let's just keep in mind it's totally possible they could like come down 10 points and then recover 4,000 and be fine, and who knows. We just know that that's like a really critical point for options, and if you get too far below 4,000 you kind of start to get into there's nothing below us to hold us down, hold us up, you know. Where's the accents? You talking about the stream reader? I'm surprised you. How do you know about that? Because you haven't been around for that long. That was like a year ago that we've messed with that. Okay. Well, Treasuries coming back up to the top here. 5 years still lagging a little bit, but it looks okay. The 30-year definitely pushing up to new highs. Oh, you were around? Yeah, well, so they made a change to OBS that allowed me to view the YouTube messages within OBS, and that was a much better way to read the messages and stuff. And so I just stuck to using that to have better latency between when you guys ask a question and when I see it, rather than have the voices, because I ended up not using it very often. I mean, when I first started using it, it was useful because you guys would be talking a lot. But, you know, chat these days is a little bit more chill. So it didn't seem as necessary. So that's kind of why I haven't used it in a while. Haven't turned it on. Like the utility is still here. I would have to start the script. Well, the 30-year looks like it wants to go up to new highs. But of course, the 5-year is kind of holding the 10 back to some extent. The Times 10 May 2022 exchanges on the brink of second bailout for stablecoins. Inflation is not coming from wage rigidity, money supplier, supply chain disruptions. All of these are Bob's kiss. It's in the 120 trillion of paper money. Low interest rates inflate assets. Paper money is just there. I agree. I think that is a large factor at least. Oh man, did they just pop all the way back down again? Yeah. I think that and these charts that like the lines I'm reading are a little bit like it's not as wide as I think because I'm so zoomed in, but geez. Geez. The world the way it is now, accents would be good. Yeah. No, we just don't joke around on stream quite as much as we did. That's all. I'm way more focused because I'm taking way more live trades now, right? Because we get these micros give us a lot of opportunity to do stuff. Well, I don't know how this turns out. I'm probably gonna. It's gonna be another one of those. I think I'm gonna get out now, and then it's just gonna like shoot up to the highs after I'm gone. But I think it's time to get going here. We're gonna put indexes battle. Uh, All right, guys, time for me to get going. I will see you tomorrow. CPI, the big number. In the meantime, stay profitable, friends.